Hey guys. So I'm pretty sure every single one of you watching knows that there are ghosts, there are terrestrial beings from other places in our galaxy or possibly a local part of the universe galaxy cluster that visit us. There's telepathy, there's like past lives and reincarnation. And here's the thing about those phenomenon. There's an overwhelming amount of evidence that those things are going on. There's an overwhelming amount of evidence that those things are going on. However, you've got the established order, right? The system, the establishment, scientific establishment, which is an oxymoron, by the way, right? Because anybody that knows anything about science knows that science purports to be a methodology, and instead we have a scientific establishment. There's not supposed to be a scientific establishment. That's like totally flies in the face of what science purports to be. But I digress. So government, scientific establishment, medical establishment, whatever, right? And they all say there's no evidence of ghosts or extraterrestrials or telepathy or past lives or that you are a soul, that you continue to exist beyond your corporal existence, your physical body, right? There's no evidence. And the problem with that statement by the established order, the establishment, the system, the problem with saying that is there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that those things exist. So what's going on here? Well, there's a system in place to control us, to deny to us our true nature, our true place in the cosmos and in reality, who and what we really are. There's an agenda to deny us of that. And I'll leave it up to you to point fingers and look around and figure out who that could be. Although I'll tell you what, the name of this channel was inspired by said group of people, right? New World All-Star. It's kind of my way of thumbing my nose at the established order, but this is thousands of years old, tens of thousands of years old. This energy, this class of people, these beings that came here, and so as to control us, always denying who we are, telling us there's no evidence, telling us that you're just flesh and bone, and that's all. Nobody knows what happens to you when you die. Consciousness is created by some process in the brain. They can't explain it, but we know that's what it is, right? Like, I see that all the time in science. Science, the scientific establishment is so biased that it blows my mind. And then they turn around with their nose up in the air, claiming to be unbiased, but they're the most biased people. And I'm not saying science is bad, right? I'm talking about, when I talk about science, I'm talking about actual science, which is a methodology, not an established system or an established order. And the established order of science, which shouldn't be a thing, there should be no scientific establishment. If it was really scientific, there would be no establishment. It's a total oxymoron to even have a scientific establishment. But nonetheless, they stick their nose up in the air and they say that there's no evidence that this stuff exists. There's no evidence that consciousness precludes physical being, like a physical existence. It has to be some electrical process that starts in your brain. Consciousness does not exist outside of that. They don't have any proof that that is true. That's just an assumption. Did you know that? Science is looking for the origin of consciousness, and they're looking in the brain. They're saying that consciousness starts in the brain. And so they go looking in the brain for where consciousness originates from, the presumption is that it starts in the brain, right? They don't have any proof. Did you know that? They don't have any evidence at all to prove that it starts in the brain. Now, they could look at me and say that I don't have any evidence that consciousness precedes physical reality. Au contraire. Here's a mistake that the scientific establishment makes, and this has got nothing to do with the scientific method. That you have to have physical proof. That you have to have physical proof to prove a theory, right? If you've got a theory, there has to be physical evidence. It can't be an experience. Experience isn't good enough. It can't be some commonality that all humans can quantitatively experience, not even qualitatively, but quantitatively. That's what the scientific establishment says. That's why they poo-poo studies where people look at things like telepathy and reincarnation and out-of-body experiences and stuff like that. It doesn't matter if the participants are all having the exact same quantitative experience. Doesn't matter. That's foo-foo, that's spiritual, therefore it's not scientific. And that is the most scientific outlook on this phenomenon. Or let me rephrase that. I said that completely wrong. That is the most unscientific outlook on these phenomenon. It's totally unscientific to say that automatically these phenomenon can't be real and you need physical evidence to prove them. Who says who? The scientific method does not say that. The scientific method does not say that you need physical evidence to prove these experiences. The scientific method is a method. Instead, you have the scientific establishment, which, again, having a scientific establishment is a complete oxymoron. It's a total affront to science. But the scientific establishment is what says these things. So what's going on here? Is the scientific establishment scientific? No, they are biased. And I'm not even saying that any individual person working in the scientific establishment is bad. Probably on an individual level, it is safe to say that scientists are just doing what they think is right and trying to make for us a better world. And individually, there's not really like a nefarious thing going on with any one individual scientist. But it seems that the entire order of the scientific establishment is directed by some malevolent force, right? Hence the name of this channel. Some malevolent force that is always steering them in the direction of saying those things do not exist. It doesn't matter that, like, everybody has encountered those things. I have an atheist friend who has seen shadow people, and he's like a devout atheist. He's a great guy, right? No problem. I don't have any problem with atheists. I totally understand where they're coming from even. You know, I'll give him a break. So he saw this shadow person who, by the way, had a cat with it. And then like a month later, this person that I used to date, this was a long time ago, who happens to believe in God, saw the same shadow person with a shadow cat, and she had no idea that he had already seen one in the same place. It was like a storage unit that he was renting out. There was like a field outside the property, an empty field, where he saw this shadow person with a shadow cat. And we didn't say anything to my ex. She had no idea. I never mentioned it to her. And then like a month later, she saw it. So that's corroboration, guys. You've got two people who saw the same thing, same phenomenon. And by the way, one of them's an atheist. Everybody sees this stuff, right? The amount of evidence that there are shadow people, ghosts, extraterrestrials, telepathy, Reiki healing, out-of-body experiences, whatever. All of this type of paranormal activity is overwhelming. There's a ridiculous amount of evidence. Okay, so I just wanted to put that out there. The established order is on purpose telling people that these things do not exist, that they are not real. Why? So as to control us, to deny our true nature as free sentient beings of light who originate from, the cosmos. Now, I'm shooting this video today in front of this here piano because I wanted to share with you my own ghost story, recent ghost story, and I think it has to do with this piano, actually. So, I have a friend whose neighbor had this piano, right? So her next door neighbor in the house next door had this piano, and she kept seeing things around her house. I was over here once and I saw something in the window and I just sensed it. I knew there was a ghost. I told her that. And she said, yeah, I felt something too. I've seen faces and, shadows and things, and we talked about it. And I explained to her that a ghost is really no big deal, actually. And this could possibly be part of the agenda from the establishment to perpetuate this myth that ghosts are scary. And technically, from what I've observed about ghosts and what I know as a scientific researcher of the technology of the three-part triune being, ghosts actually do not appear to be conscious. Now, a ghost is not the same thing as when your dead grandmother pays you a visit and you smell her perfume or something, okay? That's not a ghost. I would say that is a soul, right? So this ghost is around. They seem to enjoy causing mischief, ghosts, okay? It's almost like they think it's fun or something, but they're not really conscious beings. It's like it's the ego personality signature of a person who did live that's around. It's a repeating pattern. That's the best I can tell of what it is. Maybe I am wrong about that, but just based on my observations, it seems that way. It seems like it's really just because your body, mind, soul, right? So the mind, ego, personality, it's a collection of retained memories, thoughts, emotions, and it takes on a likeness that mimics consciousness, okay? And that seems to me to be what a ghost is. Well, anyway, I just told her, it's not any big deal. The whole Hollywood notion about ghosts are scary is exactly that. It's this Hollywood notion. I think it was invented to keep us apart from our true nature, or to if we think ghosts are scary, then we won't look into it. We'll be afraid to look at that, right? And that's what they want. They don't even want us looking at that, asking those questions. Well, anyway, they're not scary. They're not scary. And actually, if you've got a ghost in your house, getting rid of it is so easy. It's like no problem. No problem. There could be a spirit or soul living with you too. I think there are two types. There's a ghost, which is like a repeating pattern, and then there are living conscious spirit beings. And you can tell the difference because ghosts, they just go away. They just keep doing the same things. They like to cause mischief. Spirits, I don't believe I've ever dealt with one. To me, that seems almost a thing of mythology. I haven't seen any evidence, but that's another conversation for another day. You guys watching might leave your own comments about what you think is going on with that. But anyway, I just told her, you just got to tell the ghost to leave you alone. That's pretty much it. I know you're there. I'm not afraid of you. I don't think you're funny either, and you're just annoying. So please leave, right? You could just say that to the ghost. And again, ghosts are these memory pattern banks that basically constitutes a former incarnation, an incarnate, their personality ego signature. It's like energy that's been left behind. Okay, and it mimics consciousness. And I think that's why some people get confused about, is it a ghost or is it a spirit? Well, again, a spirit is like a dead relative or something like that. And they don't really stick around in your house. They don't stay. They're conscious being. Why would they want to live in a house when they're free and they're out there flying around in heaven or whatever, right? So ghosts are not conscious. They're like repeating energy patterns. These old thought patterns that constitutes someone's ego or personality, and you can just tell them go away, and they do. It's that simple. Unless you have a shadow person in your house, and those are extremely rare. Don't even worry about that. I've only ever heard of 1 or 2 stories where a shadow person, actually one story where a shadow person was in someone's house. It's so rare. It's almost non-existent. Now, if that did happen, my advice to you would be to move. There's not much you could do about a shadow person, and I don't know what the fuck a shadow person is, but their evil is all hell. Usually shadow people don't occupy houses, though. You'll find them in like abandoned warehouses and shit, or in the middle of an empty field or something, maybe where there used to be a building. I can't explain those. Well, anyway, guys, this ghost was hanging around. One night, it was late, we were talking. She has a daughter, and there were a couple of other times when I would be over here, and the kid in the middle of the night, maybe they're having a bad dream or something, the daughter would come running out, and you could hear, because they're in another room, you could hear the kid coming around the corner, and it's the little pitter-patter of little feet across the wood floor, right? And it's a very distinct sound, the sound of the child running across the floor. And then a few seconds later, you turn around and she's coming around the corner, right? Okay. Well, this time we heard the sound, right? And we were looking at like a video on YouTube that was explicit, right? And my friend, she kind of panicked. I'm like, oh my God. She like went to go turn the video off, right? And before her daughter came to us, because there was like bad words and stuff, right? And the daughter never came this time. I remember that incident sticking out, like, because we both heard her daughter coming, and it was like, oh shit, turn that off, right? Like, hurry, you know? And the reason that we took that action to turn off the video was because we heard her daughter coming, but she never came. And then her mom even gets up and goes to look in her bedroom, and she's sound asleep in her bed. And we were like, what the hell was that? Talking about it, like I heard it too. That was footsteps, just like when your daughter comes around the corner. And it wasn't this time, guys. It wasn't this time. So we said, well, maybe it's that ghost we've been seeing around, right? And there was even a time like a few weeks earlier where we were talking to the next door neighbors where this piano came from. And they said, yeah, we've seen something around too. And it like knocks stuff off of our shelves. So the neighbors were saying that. It seems like it's like childlike, it's like playful, like it's a child. Okay, so this is all starting to add up in my head. And the irony of this whole story climaxes with they move out and they say, we don't want this piano. Do you guys want it? And my friend called me up and she said, hey, my neighbor's going to get rid of this piano. I really want it. Can you help me take it from their house to here? And I actually said no, because a piano weighs as much as a freaking car. And I was like, tell you what, I'll split the movers with you. We got movers. Because I've always, she'll let me come over here and play her piano whenever I want. And I've always wanted to play on one of these pianos. This piano is from 1923, we found out. Ghosts attach themselves to old things. They do that. They do that. And that's the only thing that I could think of, is that it was this old piano. Or because her friends that lived in the house next door, they were subletting from the main person who lived upstairs, and then her friends were living like in the basement, right? And the lady that owned the house, I don't know, I never asked, but maybe she had all kinds of antiques. Maybe it wasn't this piano. Maybe it was, but nothing really has happened since this piano showed up. But then again, my friend and I, we kind of went around and we talked to the ghost, and we were like, hey, dude, you're just annoying. Just leave us alone. And that's the thing about ghosts. Like, people are scared of ghosts, and I don't think they're scary, but I think they're kind of irritating because they do little mischievous things and wake you up in the middle of the night. Like, we're trying to watch a video and it's doing that with the footsteps, right? Just being annoying. And it's just go away, dude. You're just annoying. I'm trying to watch this YouTube video, okay? Buzz off. Go haunt some other house, okay? So ghosts, I don't think they're any big deal, guys. They're easy to get rid of. You just got to talk to them. Hey, I know you're there. I know what you are. Get out of here. I don't want you, and they leave and they go. And that's all there is to it. So there you go, guys. Interesting story today that I wanted to share with you. And just some comments about these types of paranormal activities. Of course, they're real, and it's insane. It's insane for the established order to say that there's no evidence. And by the way, when you look at this system of things that we live in, this world that we live in, the establishment that tells us there's no ghosts, there's no aliens, there's no life after death, etc., etc., the people that are trying to shove that crap down our throats and even lying to us and telling us that there's no evidence are the same people that run the world, right? And look at the shape the world is in. War after war, pandemic that doesn't actually exist going on that we're told is this big problem. It's like no worse than like a regular cold or something. This just nonstop barrage of propaganda, stealing elections all over the world, different countries. That's always going on. There's always corruption going on. There's like backroom deals all the time and false flag, attacks being staged to be used as a pretext to attack whole countries, millions of people killed, the whole banking cartel and how they run the system, the whole boom and bust cycle of economics. It's all staged. It's all fake. Okay? All that stuff. And those are the people that are busy telling us there's no ghosts, there's no aliens, we don't have any cosmic connection to a cosmic family out there. There's no telepathy. You're just a bag of bones. You're going to die. And when you die, that's when you die. Telling us this kind of crap. Those are the guys. Those are the same guys that run the world. And they're doing a bang up job, right? Of course, I'm being a smartass because they're doing a terrible job. They hoard all the world's resources. Anyway, there you go, guys. That's my 2 cents for the day. Have a great Thursday, everybody. I'll see you later. Bye.